I already covered my top 10 amusement parks in Japan, but today I would like to count down my top 15 roller coasters in Japan. This video will only cover coasters I have personally ridden. As of this video, my only trip to Japan occurred in 2018. As a result, Hakugai was not yet open. Based on reviews of that ride and my personal tastes in coasters, I expect that coaster would have been number one for me had I ridden it. I also want to note that Fujiyama was down for maintenance when we visited Fuji-Q Highland, and that I did not make it to Nasu Highland to experience Big Boom. Number 15. Gekion Live Coaster at Tokyo Joypolis. Most people think Time Traveler is the first spinning coaster with an inversion, but you'd be wrong. The first was actually Gekion Live Coaster. This ride really is divided into two parts. The first is a rhythm game in the mold of Guitar Hero. The second half is the coaster bit. It's a short launch into an inline twist followed by a few helixes. The ride's uniqueness is what makes it. Number 14. Space Mountain at Tokyo Disneyland. This is essentially a clone of Disneyland Space Mountain, but there are two main reasons why I prefer its sibling in California. First, this one lacks onboard audio. Second, this one just feels slower. I'm not sure if it's less fans or less weight, but it doesn't have the same zip as the one in California. That being said, it's still a Disney classic, and those final turns always catch me off guard. Number 13. Arashi at Nagashima Spyland. I know the Smiler technically has the record for the most inversions, but I honestly think I went upside down more times than Arashi. If you've only seen the American SNS free spins in action, stop what you're doing and watch a video of Arashi. I'm not even exaggerating when I say this, but you will flip at least 15 times. Arashi is absolutely nuts. Number 12. Hollywood Dream at Universal Studios Japan. In terms of layout, this is probably the weakest of the B&M mega coasters. It's shorter and the airtime hills feel more drawn out. However, it has two things the other B&M mega coasters do not have: onboard audio and a backwards train. The latter is particularly cool since it's rare to experience that much airtime going backwards. Now, there's a potential this coaster could have been higher, but I was only able to ride it in the middle of the train due to assigned seating. And from those I spoke with, it sounds like the airtime was in fact better in the back of the train. Number 11. Do-dodonpa at Fuji-Q Highland. You were probably expecting this ride to be higher, but it's over in a flash. That being said, it's one heck of an adrenaline rush. That launch is no joke. It is without a doubt the most intense launch on the planet. It feels like you're being rammed by a rocket ship. Beyond that, the coaster has some nice hang time, but it really is a one-trick pony. Number 10. Takabisha of Fuji-Q Highland. Takabisha is a jack-of-all-trades that is really two Eurofighter layouts spliced together. You have a first half with a strong launch, and a second half with a fantastic beyond vertical drop. The rest of the ride is a disorienting mess of inversions. I sort of wish the lift hill segment preceded the launch so there's no intermission, but it's still a blast. Number 9. Thunder Dolphin at Tokyo Dome City. This is one of the most photogenic coasters on the planet. It's an intimate mega coaster in downtown Tokyo. It's something straight out of a dream. The visuals as the coaster carves its way through the buildings are absolutely breathtaking. Where the coaster does fall a bit short is actually in the thrill department. The first drop in Speed Hill delivers some great airtime, but that's it in the airtime department. And it also has one of the most anticlimactic endings with this super slow trick track. Number 8. Bandit at Yomiuriland. Bandit is proof that not all Togo rides are bad. This one is smooth and it's super unique. This pseudo hypercoaster is situated on a wooded hillside and it uses that terrain to perfection. The coaster keeps plunging further and further down the hillside, so the sense of speed is wonderful. And the finale has some nice pops of ejector airtime too. Number 7. Acrobat at Nagashima Spyland. This is a clone of SeaWorld Orlando's Manta with less rockwork and shrubbery, and that's fine by me. You still have the same great layout with the powerful pretzel loop and graceful barrel rolls. And this one did manage to keep the iconic splashdown effect at the end. Number 6. Kawasemi Tobu Zoo. My first ever Intamin Megalite was a disappointment, but I have to make this disclaimer. I did not ride Kawasemi at full force. Tobu Zoo was absolutely deserted when I visited, so the coaster barely ran, and when I did ride it, there was never more than 3 or 4 people on the train. That being said, every hill did deliver airtime, it just wasn't as strong as anticipated. The only wow moments for me were those S-hills that tried to kill me with the mix of ejector airtime and laterals. I hope to one day ride a Megalite at full force, but until then, these are my thoughts. Number 5, Surf Coaster Leviathan at Sea Paradise. This was my most surprising coaster in Japan. I expected a graceful jet coaster over the water, but instead I was treated to a really long and wild ride. This coaster had some surprisingly steep drops with good airtime. And the smaller hills also delivered strong pops of airtime too. Mix in some powerful helixes and abrupt laterals, and you have a coaster that is the complete package. Number 4, Pyrenees at Parque España. Pyrenees is one of the best B&M inverts in the world. It reminds me of Raptor's layout crossed with the relentless intensity of a Batman clone. All of the inversions are extremely forceful and snappy. And you also have some leg-numbing helixes and a sneaky pop of airtime towards the end. Number 3, Steel Dragon 2000 at Nagashima Spaland. One of my biggest complaints with the Morgan Hypers are the trains. The seats are hard and the boxy trains neuter the sense of speed. Steel Dragon has open B&M trains. And it also helps this coaster is of course a Giga coaster. The first half feels like a supersized Morgan Hyper, and that's not a bad thing. There's a ton of floater airtime on the drops. Now, I did find the turnaround a bit dull, but the return run is the highlight. There are 7 or 8 bunny hills with some downright powerful airtime. Number 2, Flying Dinosaur at Universal Studios Japan. This is without a doubt the world's best flying coaster. Not only does it interact with the Jurassic Park area, but it's ridiculously forceful. I don't know what that first element is called, but it feels just as intense as a pretzel loop. And that's of course followed by an actual pretzel loop. Beyond that, you have some graceful barrel rolls, forceful helixes, and airtime. Yes, there is airtime on a flyer. It's very weird, but I loved it. Number 1, Eejanaika at Fuji-Q Highland. 1 and 2 could easily be flipped, but I'm going to give the edge to Eejanaika. I think it's the most intense coaster on the planet. If you've been on X2, Eejanaika is a bigger and wilder version of that coaster. Eejanaika rockets through the course, flipping you in every single direction while also subjecting you to some powerful Gs. And let's not forget about that vertical drop with the flip at the bottom. I don't know how that drop works, but it's just plain insane. These are my favorite coasters that I've ridden in Japan. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this list, especially if you've ridden any of these great coasters. Thanks for listening.